In fact, songs was a crucial part of the spiritual formation of Christ. In fact, in many of his desperate moments, he sang. Like when Matthew 28 tells us, when he did the Lord's Supper, and when he broke the bread, knowing that it will be his body that will be broken, just like the bread. When he poured out the scarlet wine, knowing that it will be his blood that will be spilled, just like the wine. After the Lord's Supper, he went out, and Matthew tells us that they sang hymns, and then went to the Mount of Olives, where he made that important decision. In moments of desperation, into moments of determination, he sang. In fact, the greatest moment of desperation, when he was hung on the wood to die, he cried out, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, my God, why have you forsaken me? You know where that comes from? You know it. Psalm 22. Let us turn to Psalm 22. It's not going to be up there because we're going to be going down the Psalms together. Verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? At his moment of greatest desperation, he sang this song. And it is a song. For most of us, we read it, but most psalms are songs. It says it right there in the introduction. It says, for the director of music. You see it? My NIV translation says that. To the tune of the doe of the morning. So these words were hitched on a melody called the doe of the morning. The doe of the morning. That kind of sounds like a light melody, doesn't it? Moments of desperation, singing songs. For most of us, when we think about songs, we conjure up images of light, fun-filled occasions. Images of leaping and dancing. We think about Glee, right? Club and Sound of Music. Don't you? And especially when you hear the doe and Sound of Music, what song do you hear? Doe, a female near, rare, a drop of golden. Right. So, desperation, singing a song. Can you do that? Can you put melodies into this cry of dereliction, of abandonment? Can any melody be put into these words? If you sing it, wouldn't you betray the pain? Can you sing of tragedies? Now, some of you guys say, yes, you can. Country music. Country music is all about tragedies, right? Lost love, unrequited love. As one columnist wrote, country song would not be the same without those sad love songs. And I want to read you this is what I got from one article, 10 saddest country love songs. And I want to read to you some of the lyrics. And I hope it doesn't make any of you guys cry. All right, so here is the For My Broken Heart by Reba McEntire. The sun is blinding me as it wakes me from the dark. I guess the world didn't stop for my broken heart. Okay, now, if you're in it, you feel it. If you're not in it, I don't know, it sounds so trite, right? All right, this one I know everybody knows. The Dance by Garth Brooks. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Now, my personal opinion, this is not a song about sad things. It's just a sad piece of writing. Like pain and dance don't even rhyme. Okay, and I'm sure there's some people here who probably sang this song crying, and I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun of your lost love or anything like that. I'm just saying the line is not that good, okay? All right, it gets worse. Last one. I'm so lonesome I could cry. Even the title. Okay, Hank Williams, right? Did you ever see a robin weep when leaves began to die? That means he's lost the will to live. No comment. And all right, country love song singing about unrequited love. But can you sing about this? Oh, she doesn't love me. Oh, he doesn't even look at me. God, where are you? My God. It's not the same. But sometimes pain is so deep, you have no words for it. And you can only sing it. And Christ said, sing it. Well, I mean, literally, he didn't do the tune on the cross, but he had the whole song in his mind. And when you know the song, you just say a word, then you are already singing it. Right? Even in your ears, you hear the melodies. Like when I say, I did it my way, what do you hear? Frank Sinatra. Or what about Bye, Bye, Bye? Some of you guys are leaping with NSYNC, right? You could say it and sing it. Christ was crying it out, and he was singing this song. In the moment of his great desperation, he cried the song. And the song carried him from that desperation to his greatest determination. Because here's another thing about songs. They always come as a whole. They come together, not as parts. So just as you could say it and sing it, if you just say one line, if you sing one line, you are singing the whole song. Fred Craddock, when he was still trying to discover his preacher's voice, got a phone call from his mom. His mom said, go visit your father. He's not going to live long. So he went and found his father in a VA hospital in Tennessee. There he was, 73, totally reduced by the chemotherapy. He could not eat. He could not talk. He was an alcoholic all his life. The father and son had been estranged for a while. And he sat looking at his father. And the father scribbled a note in a napkin. It was a line from Hamlet. In this harsh world, draw your breath in pain and tell my story. What is your story, Daddy? And Dad wrote, I was wrong. A line. But you say so many things a 1,000-page essay cannot express. You can say a whole lifetime of apologies. So when you say a line or sing a line, you are singing the whole thing. And that's what Christ was doing. In the moment of greatest desperation, my God, why have you forsaken me? And this song was in him. So let's read. Let's see what the song says. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? So far from the words of my groaning. Saving me. In Hebrew, it's Yeshivah. Jesus' name is Yeshua, God who saves. So the one who's called God who saves is crying, why are you not saving? Oh my God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, and am not silent. When God is silent, and the only thing you hear is a person's cry. When God is silent through the day, in the night is not silent because it is filled with the cry of the one who has been abandoned. Christ's cry fills the empty heaven. And in that cry, Christ cries for every one of us who have been abandoned, who have experienced that, felt like we've been abandoned by our parents, by our siblings, by our spouses, by our friends, by our pastor, by our church. That sense and pain and suffering of being left by the one that was supposed to be there for you, abandoned by God. It's very honest, isn't it? There's no, I don't really mean it, padding it, trying to explain or justifying it. He just says it. He just sings the suffering and pain. You are not here, God. The song is very honest. And sometimes the only way through a suffering is to go through it. The only way to get past it is to express it. Because until you name it, you cannot be free. And that's what this song does. Names the suffering, names the pain. We don't like to name it. We're afraid of it. We feel that it will always be with us, never letting us go. Or maybe it's because we don't have words for it. What words could express the suffering and pain? So quite often what we do is, rather than naming it, rather than singing it, we try to explain it away. We try to deny it. So that's a danger with words. Words, in itself, they tend to conceal. They tend to dull us. They're like morphine. They dull us from the pain. They speak about facts to simply hide us from the truth. Oh, how are you? I'm fine. Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's okay. Your son dies, terrorist bombing, or wayward Patriot missile, and the word we use is collateral damage. Now, there are times when we need to take a step away from the pain, for sure. We need to dull that pain for a while. There are some times when we need to take morphine, but you can't be taking morphine all the days of your life. It dulls everything. When we try to take the pain away from the experience, we also gut out the life from the experience. Often we use words to conceal, words to dull, like morphine. And quite honestly, religious talk can be like that too. Oh, God is in control. And God knows what's happening. Oh, God is good. But you haven't dealt with the pain first. You haven't expressed it. You can't get to the determination. You can't get to the praise until you are honest with your complaint and you've sang it. Until you express it, you're not free. John Paul Lederach, he's a professor of international peace building in University of Notre Dame. 25 years he worked in these countries ravaged by conflicts, and he goes there trying to bring peace, healing, and reconciliation. He's been there, Sierra Leone, Colombia, Nepal. And he talks about how when they suffer violence, it's unspeakable violence. I mean, literally, they can't speak about it. And when they try to speak about it, they really can't get it out. Because words, he says, it's about our head. It's about disinformation. But the violence was not against our understanding and concept. The violence was against our bones. It's in there. And so you can't get to the bones with just mere words. You have to get there through actually songs and poetry. And so he talks about an experience he had with Sierra Leone with child soldiers. These soldiers who are victims and perpetrators, right? Who saw their mothers get raped, and then they're trained and they're forced to rape other mothers. And so trying to bring them out, trying to bring healing, he talks about how when they are interviewed, talking about their past, they always talk about it in a flat, monotone, emotionless way. And I guess in one sense they have to. They want to distance themselves from that pain. But if you distance yourself from the pain, you can't get healing from it. But then when they are given voice, when they can sing about it, or when they can even speak about it in poetry, And some of these boys, he was saying, they don't even know how to read or write, but they have the verbal language. And when they begin to talk about it in poetry and sing it, oh, the emotions come out. Tears come out. And they feel the pain. And it's hard, but then the healing begins. You see, the truth lies not so much here, but in our bones, in the emotions. That's where the hurt is. And so to find healing, you have to go into those emotions. And words will not get you there. Songs and poetry, it's all about our emotions. It walks in the bones, in the marrows of our bones, in our emotions. We need to be able to sing, even sing about our moments of desperation. Verse 3, yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the praise of Israel. The song is honest with one's desperation, and that is why it is able to begin to move forward. It doesn't deny it. It doesn't try to go around it. It goes right through it, and so it could begin to move forward. And it begins to move forward by looking around and seeing these other people who are worshiping and praising God. You see, what pain and suffering does, it isolates us. It makes us think that we are all alone. And one of the little light ray that kind of breaks forth and helps us to see another reality is this. You hear the praises of other people. When you don't have the voice to sing praise and only about lament and complaint, you hear others singing. Enthroned as the Holy One, how? You are enthroned by the praise of Israel. Others' songs, others' praises. That is why when you feel down and out, you have to come out on Sunday and sing a song. That is why when you are broken and you want to give up all relationships, that's when you have to get to your life group. When you are most isolated, that is when you need to crawl out of the bed and hear the praises of others, even if you're just sitting down on the pew and listening to others' praises. It's the others' praises that could be our first step outside, out of the dark. And that's what songs do. Songs is not a private thing, is it? Songs is a communal thing. It's not like I make my own song, and no, we usually sing songs that people have sung before or people have heard before that we have sung together. And the thing with the songs is that it transports you, doesn't it? It has a power to transport you in time. So that's why when you hear a song that maybe you danced with your wife in your first date, right away you're back in those time when you were in your 20s with your bell bottoms dancing with the love of your life. It transports you. When you start singing, you're no longer alone. You see, these psalms, Christ sung this, but then many people had sung this before. Many people had sung this in a temple or maybe at their own home with their own families gathered before the Sabbath candles lit. Maybe they sang it together. And so when you happen to be there in your experience alone, when you happen to be going through suffering alone, and when you sing this, you begin to remember, yeah, I sang this with my dad. Yeah, I sang this when I was in the temple, and there was a throng of the Israelites, and they were there with me, and we filled that air. You're not alone. People have gone through this and have sang this song and have come out of it. You're not alone. Israelites who worked as slaves under the Babylonian sun probably sang the same song saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? And then they got to this place, but you are enthroned as the Holy One. And then maybe they pick up the hoe again and they began tilling the ground again, believing that one day, if not them, then their children will sing this song in the temple again with the Mediterranean breeze. you're no longer alone. So you begin to have hope. In you, our fathers put their trust. They trusted and you delivered them. They cried to you and were saved. In you they trusted and were not disappointed. My God is not here, but their God saved them. And then you begin to realize as you sing that their God is our God. And if their God saves, then our God saves. And our God is my God. And if our God saves, then my God saves. You begin to have faith and hope. But of course, it's not always that easy. The movement out is not that direct. Oh, how we wish that we will move from doubt to faith, from desperation to determination in a simple, linear movement. But it doesn't happen that way, does it? Verse 6, but I am a worm and not a man. Scorned by men and despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. You feel like that? You feel like now you're coming out of it. You're climbing out of the hole, and just one more. And if you just stretch out your arms, and you'll be out of the hole, but then when your arms are looking, there's nothing to hold, to pull you out of that hole, and then you fall back. You feel like this is the lowest point of the valley. Surely it will rise, but then as you go, it dips again. You can't get any worse. You lost a house, and then a phone call comes, and you lose a mother. In an ear, in one single ear. You had a great retreat experience. You were refreshed. You have a sun smile on your face, and it's gonna be different. Your family will be different, and then you go back in the night. You have the same fight with your spouse. You feel like it's the same thing. Jean-Paul Lederach, speaking from his experience, he says that healing, we expect it to be linear, but it can never happen that way. It doesn't go from point A to point B. If you expect that, then of course you just create more pain for yourself. What you realize is that actually healing is like a circle. You go and come back, you go and come back. You come back to the same pain. But the thing is, when you circle, he says, you begin to deepen and deepen and deepen until you touch your humanity again. And that's where the healing is. He says healing happens in a circle. And it's true. You never get over the loss of your father. You always miss him. But healing begins when you're able to accept that circle, the up and down of emotions. When you look at an ocean, the ocean goes up and down. It undulates, right? And we think to our eyes it's really not moving. But it's not true. Oceans have currents, strong currents. So sea turtles ride the ocean currents, and they go from South America to Iceland to Africa and back. To our eyes, up and down, nothing's happening. But there's currents. A song goes up and down, but there's a current that moves us from desperation to determination. And that is why song can speak to us. Because song is repetitive, like our life is repetitive. Isn't our life repetitive? Same thing over and over again? Oh man, I have to go to school again? Always repetitive. Man, I thought I dealt with this pain. I thought I forgave him. I got to do it again. Repetitive. Prose is linear. It's a story, a plot from point A to point B. Once you get to point B, you don't want to go back to point A. I know it already. Let's go to point B. What's the next point? You don't reread prose. But poetry, you read over and over again. Songs is all about repetition. You sing verse 1, you sing chorus, you go to verse 2, that might elaborate a little bit on verse 1, and then you go back to chorus again. And then sometimes, some songs go back to verse 1 and end with verse 1, and you sing the same words, but the meaning is different. Repeat. So it's okay to have another bad day. It's not a setback. And let's not expect that of others. Give them the space. Give yourself a space. You could sing praise and then suddenly say, I am worm. You could be lifting up your hands and then suddenly you could be falling flat on your face. It happens. That's how healing happens. Yet you brought me out of the womb, verse 9. You made me trust in you. Even at my mother's breast, from birth I was cast upon you. From my mother's womb you have been my God. Trust here again. What kind of trust? Trust even before I knew the word trust. So he's trusting that he had trust before he even knew the word. How do you know that? Trust. Everything's trust there. How close is this God? Very close. So close that he was there in your mother's womb. Science even now thinks it's mysterious how we are formed in the mother's womb. But our God was there, stitching every cell. And God is so close. But you said that before you are a worm, that God is not it's so far from saving you. But no, God is here. God is saving. And notice he says here, from my mother's womb, you have been my God. Echoes. My God, why have you forsaken me? My God, you have always been my God. Same words, different meaning. Or maybe my God always contains both. That it means that one's the greatest of intimacy, but also greatest of separation. My God, my God, my God. Do not be far from me. Verse 11. For trouble is near, and there's no one to help. Wait. You just said he's your God. You trusted from your mother's womb, then he was near you. Now you're saying he's far. Make up your mind. We can't do that. But that's okay. Repetition, circling, that's deepening. That's healing. We can move from desperation to determination, from doubt and faith by singing, even if it constantly repeats over and over again. And this movement from this place to the next place, from desperation to determination, it's not this like illogical leap. When you think about it, actually, even in your moment of desperation, in your complaint, you are still praising God. So when time comes for you to be praising God, that's a natural step. For me to say to God, I doubt you, it already means that actually I believe the person who I think I say I doubt. I'm already addressing him as if he's there. For a daughter to say to her mother, I hate you, she's only saying that because she loves the mother so much to be hurt. And she also knows that her mother can never hate her. So for us to say, God, where are you? Inherent in that, a seed is, of course, you are here. My God, why have you forsaken me? Also means, my God, you are here. Many bulls surround me, verse 12. Strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. The roaring lions cheering their prey, open their mouths wide against me. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is turned to wax. It has melted away within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs that surrounded me, a band of evil men has encircled me. They have pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing. But you, O Lord, be not far off. O my strength, come quickly to help me. Deliver my life from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Rescue me from the mouth of lions. Save me from the horns of the wild oxen. I will declare your name to my brothers. In the congregation, I will praise you. And they will praise becomes I will praise. Their God becomes my God. He has stood up. He has lifted up his hands, and he has begun to sing. Even if God has not acted yet. Here's another reason why songs can move us from desperation to determination. Because when you sing, God's divine reality becomes more visible. You cannot help it. When you are desperate, everything constricts. Your blood vessels constrict, your muscles constrict, your eyes constrict. You can't see that God is there. But when you sing, can you sing like this? Physically, you have to open. You have to take a deep breath. You have to open your body. And here's the thing, when you open your body, you open your heart. Our body and our mind, our emotions are all interconnected. Even though you don't want to, you open your lips, and then your mind begins to believe what your lips says, and then your body begins to believe what your mind says, and then your heart begins to believe what your body says. We say we smile because we're happy, but also we're happy because we smile. Everybody, give me a big smile. There, you can say everybody's happy. When you open your arms, then your heart naturally opens. Everybody, okay? Open your arms like this. Stretch it out. Open it up. Are you not receiving already? Don't slap the person next to you. When you begin to sing, then you see God's divine reality because you have opened up your heart by first opening up your body, by first opening up your lips. That's why in Ephesians 5:18, Paul says, do not be drunk, which leads to debauchery. Be filled with the Spirit. How? Speak to one another psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. Sing and make melodies in your heart. When you're desperate, sing. Sing a psalm. Sing a song. And it will move you. It will heal you. You who fear the Lord, praise Him. All you descendants of Jacob, honor Him. Revere Him, all you descendants of Israel. For He has not despised or disdained the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden His face from him, but has listened to his cry for help. From you comes the theme of my praise in the great assembly. Before those who fear you will I fulfill my vows. The poor will eat and be satisfied. They who seek the Lord will praise Him. May your hearts live forever. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations will bow down before Him. For dominion belongs to the Lord, and He rules over the nations. All the rich of the earth will feast and worship. All who go down to the dust will kneel before Him. And those who cannot keep themselves alive, posterity will serve Him. Future generations will be told about the Lord. They will proclaim His righteousness to a people yet unborn, for He has done it. What do you mean? You mean He saved you, psalmist? Or that you believe that He will save you and you're so sure you're speaking about it in past tense? Maybe both. He has done it. It's finished. The poem has ended. Because God has done His work. It's finished. Wait a minute. I've heard that song too. It is finished. When Jesus Christ was dying on the cross with His last breath, He sang, "It is finished." Your work or God's work? Your sacrifice, or that you believe that God will bring you to life in 3 days. And so it's like, it's what happened in the future, but it's already happened because I believe it, so it's past tense. It's finished. Both. It's done. From that moment, my God, into it is done. And a song carries him from desperation to determination. Friends, sing songs of God. Sing and make melodies in your heart, especially in the moments of desperation. These songs, especially these psalms, have comforted, have strengthened many Christian fathers and mothers before us. Our Christian fathers and mothers, they sang the psalm to drown out the roars of a lion and their fear. These songs will turn a timid spirit into a Christ spirit. Sing. And do not underestimate these songs of God. They're powerful, even Kumbaya. Now, I always joked about Kumbaya. I always thought it was one of those campfire songs for youth groups who are stuck in the 80s, with praise leader in their 80s, who knows only 2 chords and who knows only one song. Kumbaya, my Lord. Let's do that again. But history proved me wrong. Vincent Harding, a civil rights veteran, a historian and theologian, talks about how one time in the heat of the civil rights movement, people were gathered in the Mississippi, and there they were gathering students, inviting people from outside the state to help with the voter registration and the Freedom School movement. And there was 2 weeks of orientation, and after 1 week, there was 3 young men who got arrested. And they were released, but then they went missing. It turned out a small group of people came, murdered them, and their bodies were found later. Now, when they heard about this missing of the 3 of their friends, fear fell on that group. And Bob Moses, who was the leader of that group, gathered them and said, we thank you for coming. Now, if any of you guys are afraid and decide to go back to your homes or to your colleges, many of these were just college students, then none of us will look down upon you. You have done so much. You are brave enough to just come here. And so to go back, we honor and respect you. And so let's take a few hours of break. You guys talk amongst each other, call your parents before you make any decisions. Now, Vincent Harding was going around and trying to talk to them, comfort them, and to tell them that he would understand whatever decision they make. But as he went around, all we heard was songs. These students would gather together in groups, and they were singing Kumbaya, which is a short form of come by here. Someone's missing, Lord. Kumbaya. Someone's missing, Lord. Kumbaya. Someone's missing, Lord. Oh, Lord. Kumbaya. Most of them stayed. Let us pray. Just for half a minute, if you could pray.